Replay.
Good.
Somehow or not. Another picks up the pre-show. Here, let me try something here. Let's do this. Give people a little bit of time. Boom. Okay, so we'll be right back with Chris Pooley in the house. What's happening, everybody? We got Chris Pooley in the house from Australia. Good to see you. Nice to meet you finally. I heard a lot about you.
Yeah. And Morgan's about 15 minutes from here.
Yeah, that's a hell of a lot closer than she is to me.
Well, I don't believe that to be true.
I don't either anymore, and that's what I'm trying to break through right now. I don't know. You know, I'm having a laugh going down the news feed and just watching everybody. Some of the comments are they're just amazing. One lady just put, nothing's relevant anymore. Nothing. Like,
yes.
Okay. We're on the same wavelength.
Well,
but yeah, it's good to have you here.
Yeah.
And it's a pleasure to meet you. I've seen you. I've caught your energy on online, and you know, I don't say much these days, you know, posts and stuff. But yeah, I can see that you're, you know, you're exemplifying that divine feminine energy that's, you know, that's rediscovered herself and all of us, and expanding with you know, such grace and glory, and you know, just power and strength and courage and all those attributes and virtues of the soul. So it's a pleasure to have you here. So I don't know where you want to start. This is about you. As these shows continue on, I talk less and less, and the people are talking more and more, especially lately with so much emphasis here at Soulogy on the hero's journey. And it's interesting to hear everybody's stories. I believe that's the highest downloads, transmissions, activations, and channelings that we can offer each other. So I'm all ears. Where do you want to start? Have you always been this weird?
No, definitely not. I think what that lady commented before about nothing's relevant anymore, even when I was considering this morning, as I watch a lot of the programs, and that question that you ask where to start, years ago, I would have started off with, oh, you wouldn't believe what happened to me the other night, and I understand what I literally had nothing to say. I think this week, particularly with what we've all felt, any words have just there's no longer a need to even speak. I guess from a place of ego might be a good addition to put to that. So what we're doing now is just sharing. Yeah,
exactly. I just read Morgan's post from this morning, or poem post, and I just wrote raw newness because she was talking about, and I've heard her talk about it before, you know, when we're just talking, and that's, she knew a lot of people like her received this downloads and stuff 20 years, you know, back, and all this information, and we've all had that moment, like, what am I supposed to do with all this information? Hers was
Yes.
speaking to, you know, having that information, having to deal with that. The
Yes.
time wasn't right, but here I am. And I think the way she ended it was, I still don't know what I'm doing. Like, what are we doing here? So it's and there's such a play on words too. Like,
Yes.
things aren't relevant, but
No.
they are relevant. And it's like
Mhm.
everything takes on a new meaning. It's like you surrender something and it doesn't leave you, but you can't surrender it truly and receive what it really is until you actually surrender it and let it go. But it never goes, and it comes back, and it's bigger, and it's just this whole myriad of you know, potentially complications, confusion, you know. And as Morgan told me many times, you know, when I'd come to her years, you know, months back, and I'd be like, I'm totally confused. She's like, perfect. That's exactly where you need to be. So yeah, nothing makes sense. What made sense?
I think too, what all of that encompasses is where our body is now feeling, or the mind is starting to keep up with this word multidimensional.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really what we are, whether it's chaos or nothing's relevant or whatever, that's being multidimensional. It's like the body is now feeling what that feels like. And that's clearing the mind out at the same time of all of our other beliefs of what things should be. So it's a very profound time. And what I'm feeling, because we're in Australia and a lot is happening here, a lot is happening on many levels that we're hearing about Australia. And the other topic that there were three things that came into my mind. Uluru, which is a really big part of my journey. Bali, which is also a lot to do with my journey. And woo-woo, the woo-woo, answering the call and really diving deep into the woo-woo. And I think that's a place that a lot of people are now going to move into once they're feeling the energies of people that may not have so far been on the journey we've all been through. I don't think they're going to go through what we did. I don't feel they're going to do the shadow work to the depth and to the energies are so powerful and so strong. It purely is just, I think, a matter of choosing that they want to experience more of their authentic self, or choosing to be happy. And I think the power of the source that's pulsating through everybody now, it brings into what Jason and Franco are talking about all of the time. You know, we'll be looking at people and all of a sudden think, what the hell is going on with them? And what may have taken us 10 years to come to a realization, it's happening very quickly for everybody.
Yeah, truly. And even like I just spent an hour on the phone with a friend of mine, which I do. If it's not more, I don't really talk to anybody, because that, you know, that seems to be pretty prevalent too this year. Just let me be by myself, right? I mean, but yeah, we were talking about that, and even in, you know, I've spent a couple of days with Franco and Kimberly, so we had a lot of private conversations, and of course we've done, I think, about 100 shows in 2 years together, and but I was able to ask him questions and talk about things that we don't talk about online yet, although I've pretty much, I think, done a pretty good job of pulling stuff out of him that he has been reluctant to talk to, but he's become more comfortable at Soulogy. But I was just saying that in my conversation with Franco, you know, I asked questions like, you know, who are you talking to? Who's you know, speaking? Do you question them? And his answers were a lot like mine, which is yes. You know, everything that comes in, I question it. And so what you're saying is, in at least in what I'm getting, some of it is that we do the same thing with those we interact with and those we are presented with in front of us. And so I'm a big believer in, you know, trying to make things simple. And a lot of people are saying, like, what do I do with this downloaded? Why am I going to make this post now? And you have all these questions, and I think that's good. That's what I'm saying. I think we're at a point now where, you know, I don't know. I don't know. How do you feel about this? But some of the stuff that's been out there for a long time got us to this point, and it might be a person or a group or a channel or whatever. And if they're stagnant in any way, they no longer resonate. It's like everything has to continue to expand, such as that incredible looking thing behind you. What is that? Morgan said it was a didgeridoo or didgeridoo. I can't pronounce it.
Oh yes, it does. Yeah, it's a not an authentic one that works, but more of a reminder of the outback. But do you know what I'm feeling, love? What you just said, and it really has hit in the last few days. I'm feeling it's a time now of not questioning. I'm finding, well, if some of us have come out of religious backgrounds, or we've come out of perceptions of demons, or our journey, we've always questioned whether we're embodying with. Well, I'll tell you about a journey that I had to the outback, and this will tie all of that in together. And to open up now to not questioning, we've done a lot of our shadow work, and so for me it's moving not just into unity, but it's gone into singularity. We're very much recognizing that everything that I'm seeing and experiencing really is me. So I don't need to question me. I'm now just open to allow whatever me is, whether it's a tree, whether it's a rock, whether it's a being. I feel that is the catalyst of opening and not questioning, the catalyst of that energy dropping into our heart, and it takes us into that neutrality. It's an energy that people are starting to feel around us, where we don't need to say anything anymore. We're just neutral, but divinely neutral, very much understanding without judgment what's going on.
Yeah.
And I noticed on Sarah Adams' web page yesterday, for me, the journey's been about alchemy, about taking one thing and literally alchemizing it and turning it into the gold that it is, because everything is gold once we alchemize it. And because of her journey with Max Spears, it's a very fascinating journey. And Max being the bloodline of a non-human form and understanding of magic and what's really going on the planet. And Sarah talked about the same thing, where true alchemy and the true magician within us is the one that can turn chaos into order. And so that transformation of chaos, bringing that into order, in the magician's book, the Merlin's book, is called intercession. And that space of intercession is the heart. And so not questioning that and just allowing it to pour straight in and through us, I feel is we are automatically now alchemizing by being neutral. So our Merlin cap and our wand is literally what we're doing the whole time.
Yeah.
Which is grace, like
grace.
that feeling that pulses through the body and every cell of grace. You haven't. It's not a gift. It's not something given. It's just a natural offshoot of coming to this state of being. It's just a reward of what's always there.
Yeah, there's no doubt that whatever it is bigger than us, and it's happening anyway. And my friend and I in this conversation, pretty much we're coming to the same thing, which was, the whole, and I probably didn't say it right, but the whole idea of the questioning thing is that until there is no question, it's like because that's not even doing it justice either, because we were talking about certain elements that have been prominent in our field, in these communities, certain personalities, certain channels, and that's what I was getting at. Even that information, when I use the word stagnant, I meant stagnant in the sense that it's taken me to the same place every time, which is nothing. So it's to me, like when we were talking, it was everything is occurring. It's bigger than us, but what is the common denominator? And it is right back to ourselves and to what you're describing, which I was trying to say to him, which I couldn't say as good as you, which was basically this. It's this feeling. Like he was sitting in the process of his workday, and he was conducting a function of his workday, or work month, I should say. And he said, "I love what I'm doing." He's had a human diagnosed condition or affliction, physical illness, if you want to call it that. He's getting treatment. So he's got these things going on like we all do, but he was in his neutrality. He was in his bliss. He was in that space you're talking about. And we both just said, well, that's it. That alignment is going to bring everything into alignment. And a lot of this even said without words, which is back to what you're saying as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bruce says it's the tip of the iceberg.
Yes.
See, that's one thing that I am getting is that I was telling Morgan this last night. And this is like the last 3 days, especially this morning. This morning was crazy, but it's like, okay, it's not what we're, like David Icke and many people talk about visible light spectrum. What can we see, and what is it that we're not seeing that's already there? And I've kind of come to the other end of it in the last 3 days, which has been, it's not what I'm not seeing, it's what I'm seeing that I think is there. So, for instance, if I want to teleport to Australia and have a date with Morgan, I know I'm this close now. I know, and as an individual goes through as a collective, I'm not special. I know we're that close. And like you were saying about something earlier, when one of us goes through these doors, when one of us breaks through, then it's like a mad flush. It's like a sink where you pull the plug out and it goes like that. Because your point about the shadow work thing, no, we don't have to do what some of us did to the extent of a linear timeline, because it is quantum and instantaneous.
And our reward for those years of what we all went through, mainly being that others couldn't fully understand or appreciate or join us on what we were going through, which is why we all had to leave and travel and go walk about and find wherever we had to be to go through this process. And so this is our reward now, this coming to this very quiet, powerful state of being, where, like Bruce said, now the party starts, now the fun starts. I can go, I'm out in the bush all the time, and I literally had a being turn up. I have taken a photograph and put it on my wall the other day, but I don't know whether it's, Australians talk about a yowie, similar to your Sasquatch, I believe, like a hairy being. But this being that turned up, it's either what a yowie does look like. I've spoken to Aboriginal elders that live up in that area, and they see them all of the time. Or it was an interdimensional portal that opened up, and another interdimensional being was looking through at me, and it came through on the camera. And so, and then looking at a tree or a rock and picking up the messages and knowing what's being said. These are our rewards. Our connection with the elementals, and as you're saying, teleportation. I have a friend who, a number of people that's their focus and what they're being still and not trying to achieve.
Yeah, isn't it weird? That's that space. That's that space you're talking about. That's that. Like I was telling my friends, and I remember telling Morgan this. Going back to, by the way, it'll be 6 years tomorrow since we connected, on the internet. And But I would tell her, I can't explain what I'm doing. I mean, I have a suitcase and I'm traveling around. I don't have any money. I got a microphone and I just know to keep doing this. But there's something almost like I could feel like an energy ball in front of me that I'm trying to like hold or catch or embrace. But it is that what you're talking about. It's a thoughtless, wordless,
Yes.
it's motionless, but in motion. And
Yes.
it's just this state. And from
Yes.
that state,
Yes.
everything comes. You don't have to reach for anything because as we know, the universe knows our heart intention. So it's weird to me because it is a new language, a new math, a new geometry. And I firmly believe and know in my heart, it's only my truth, that we are in this space creating a new universal code, and that this is our offering to the universe as a result of this experiment, this experience that we're having on Earth. Like I can tell when things are in alignment where two or more gather, because I know you can relate to this. You start to get these chills, and my whole body is just lit in the moment. And so there's your point about no questioning. Just shut the F up, get out of the way, and let it do its magic, right? I mean, and then you run into an interdimensional being in the outback and things like that.
Yeah. I'll tell you a profound one that I knew this was the last embodiment. I've been traveling the world embodying aspects of me, human and non-human. And I knew the final one happened just over a year ago here. And it's profound enough because it's on what we're talking about, and that feeling of what is pulsing within us. There's a sensuality. There's a sensuality that comes with that we don't have to try, but the love within our beingness is all we need. Rather than being cliche, it becomes a knowing that what that grace or that sensuality or God or whatever that is, from that point on, the relationship terminology can change. Everything changes from that point on. And so I was up at a waterfall not far from here, and when I came back from Bali, I came back to visit my parents just before what shall we say, Corona, I think, rather than the other one, so that you're so that you're not banned.
I'm not worried about it at all. Yeah.
So just before Corona hit, came back from Bali after 6 years of immersion into all of these experiences, and I walked every side street and alleyway of Ubud, trying every healing experience, because I was a hypnotherapist here in Australia, but I didn't agree with that. Somebody might want to simplify it, quit smoking. And so they'd go take themselves off to a hypnotherapist, and there's no thought given to what's truly going on within somebody. It's just they've got a subconscious thought of, I don't want to smoke. And so the hypnotherapist does whatever they do within their mind, take them down into an induction. And I know, because of my activations, when I'm with somebody, their pain body speaks to me. So I know what they are holding and carrying that is not them. And so it's a wonderful, wonderful thing, because regardless of what's coming out of their mouth, I know exactly what's going on within their beingness. So it made no sense to me to induce someone to give them something that they weren't really wanting. So I would say, you're better off suck it up and enjoy it. Enjoy every puff. You know, to give up smoking when deep down I know you don't. And why should you? Let's look at the beliefs of why you think you should give up smoking. And that path takes them down a very different journey, which is why many say, oh, hypnosis doesn't work. Of course it doesn't, because it's not what you wanted to start with. So when I went to Bali and I traveled all of these side streets and alleyways and healing experiences, I discovered breath work and holotropic breath work, Stanley Groff, but not as grungy and as cathartic. The way I adopted it, I would take like a hypnosis session, but have the person lie down, and through their own breath, with me holding a neutral space, their body automatically went right to the very core. And 3 stages of this experience would unfold. And the first stage was getting them beyond the fear barrier, because their hands would start to tingle and they could not move their hands. They were starting to feel that they were leaving their body. So all of their fears would come in at once. And once I was able to assist them to just move through that barrier, it's just on the other side of fear where the magic happens. And then in that moment, Todd, there were times I would see the human body, even the stomach of the human body, literally lift 2 feet up out of their beingness. The body was moving and releasing all of these thoughts of the things that they think they shouldn't have done or they could have done, and all of that transmutation was going on. And then the third phase was, with all of that balanced out, they could just lie back, and their divinity, the connection to their divinity, they themselves were connected with. So whether that was Yeshua, Buddha, an extraterrestrial, whatever each person's, the way that they would be spoken to came through. And so to me, that became the way of assisting people to find out whether you want to smoke or not. Just lie down and go very deeply into this process, and then they would be able to either smoke with delight and enjoy every moment and energetically contribute to the world with no guilt, or whether they chose in that time that, you know what, I've just felt something within me that I never knew was there. I now want to care for this body in a different way.
Yeah.
So that was Bali is full of so many experiences that people haven't dived deep into. And so yeah, so I don't know where I was going with that.
It didn't matter. It was perfect.
I was coming back to Australia.
But you know, it's just, but yeah, you know, I mean, because we are coming into a greater understanding and awareness, and even an actualization, albeit maybe a bit painful at times, that we're energy.
Yeah.
So we're energy. So it's, you know, I spent the last, 90 days doing some things, not because I wanted to do anything in particular or align with anything in particular, but my own knowing, which I think a lot of people have gone through in the last 90 days, particularly this year with the body and the last 90 days with the body speaking, the body coming in louder. So I was very, very careful because I was getting, you know, the nuts and bolts of it. I'm getting rid of certain habits and rhythms and patterns and behaviors, and others are coming in. But I was very, very aware of the potency and reality and the unconscious creative aspect of my energy in terms of my thoughts, right? So judgment was real big. I'd be like, I'm not going to judge myself because I went and had a cheeseburger. Fuck that,
Yeah.
you know? So, I mean, but truly
Yes.
what you're saying, it's what you're saying, because if that person lays on that table and reaches a state, you know, I mean, who am I to say? One man's treasure is another man's trash. One man's addiction is another's
Yes.
alchemic material. So it's just that we are energy. It is past the cliches. You know, saying things and knowing things is one thing, but trying to attempt to engage it and be it and put it into, I'm a big believer, knowledge is code. you add that to action, it becomes wisdom. And I really believe that's what we're doing. We're creating new wisdom through the universal seeding of this earth, which is now embodied into this gods and goddesses in the flesh. So what you're saying to me, I can feel, like, for instance, this is a new way for someone to explain their story, because through the energy of what you're saying, you're speaking of your own transformation, revelations, epiphanies, and ultimately the trajectory of your neutrality, the 0 point, the soul highway. So it's amazing, and it changes so rapidly.
Yes. Yes. When you dive deep within your body with your eyes closed, and all of a sudden, as you're going down through your stomach, here is a face looking back at you, with what may have been considered a demonic thing. Most people straight away say, oh, that's not mine. Something evil has taken over me. And no, that is you. And it wants your love, and it wants your acceptance. And I posted recently, because it was quite confronting, a photograph. I was sitting on top of a mountain in Australia, and I went to get up off the rock, and my camera, I didn't have it in my hand. I heard my camera go off. So the camera had taken a couple of photographs on its own. And when I opened up, it was a day or so later. Funny enough, you'd think you'd race to have a look at that, but obviously I was doing other things. And when I opened it up and had a look, right here in my throat is a being. It's actually, and it looked like a very it looks like a Christ on the cross type of being sitting right here in my throat. And so a number of people felt, well, you've got demons in you. Clearly you have a demon in your throat, or, you've picked that up along the way. And yet that was a wonderful thing that I could use to show people that, all aspects of you, whatever you've thought or whatever you've focused on, creates a thought form, a living entity within your beingness. And so when I went down into my body, and this photograph was showing those living entities of my creation, and I was then able to not get rid of them, because they are a child of mine. And so to activate, it opens the heart again to love all of those aspects or thought forms, knowing we certainly are made up of so many thought forms, and neutralizing and giving them all of love. So that was another experience that gave me understanding to go where others fear to tread, because that often led to what is called exorcisms. In Bali, I'd often be known as a woman on the motor scooter, scooting around, and oftentimes running into particularly Balinese people that are still very much their Hinduism, beautiful as it is, they do not have the knowing that we have of sovereignty, of us being the God within. And so therefore they're very fearful of the ancestors. And if I would sit with them within a very short period of time, their body started to react. They'd be coughing or spluttering. And again, I could just see their pain body, and was starting to react to something that was bringing it forward for healing. And I would end back at their homes with their families gathered around, and do the breath work. But oftentimes it looked like, with vomiting and screaming out, and all of the cathartism could often look like an exorcism. Showed me very much that everything is just energy, and lower vibrational energy needing to be balanced out. So our beloved journeys have given us, as you say, a wonderful wisdom of what's really going on. And there is no fear of anything when you look at it from an energetic perspective.
I agree 100%. You know, this, 3 days ago, I just woke up and I've never had a big problem with death. At least from my perspective, compared to what I pick up from others and how others feel. Death, fear, whatever. But I just woke up and I was like, I'm done with it. I'm done with the death program, period. I really am. I feel like, what do I want to do? And why would I not do it? And so all these constructs present themselves, such as passports and laws, and these are what?
Yes.
Part of the death programming. I'm thinking, fuck all that, and now I'm saying this knowing that I'm speaking that shift into existence at some level.
Yes.
And yet we're in that space that you were talking about, where the only thing relevant is what's before you in that moment. So, for instance, somebody might say, well, how are you going to get out of the country if you don't have a passport or you don't follow the... I don't know, but I do know, and I won't know, and I don't even want to think about it until that's presented to me in a given moment, and, I just... I feel like that, what you're saying and what you're exuding through your journey is, it's almost like this. Everything up to yesterday or this last moment a minute ago is irrelevant. Like whether it's a success, a failure, a channel, or a trauma. And now I just, like you said, you just enter that space, and there is no fear in that space. You don't even think about it, right? You don't have an opinion. It doesn't apply. There's nothing there. It's a void kind of a thing. And it's funky and it's weird, but it feels like that what you said earlier is that on a collective level, there's more and more people in the room. You know what I mean? I mean, it's getting fuller and fuller and fuller. And I've been saying this for days. The distortion seems to be expanding, but so is the individual expansion, which isn't in the Matrix movie scene that we're all viewing, but it is very much there for all of us. So it's a strange parallel, I guess. Morgan sent me the pictures you were talking about. You want me to pull it up? Let me see here. Let me see if I can pull this up. This is pretty wild. Now, this was in your throat. Let me pull it up. Hang on. Let me pull this up. It looks pretty wild. Wild enough we need to take a look at it. I hope this works. Window. No, it's not going to work. Well, maybe. Let me see. Window. Try this. Oh, does that work?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's one. Oh my God, that's your neck. I just realized what I'm looking at. So you can see
it takes a while to adjust, doesn't it?
Yeah. So where my cursor is, these are your sunglasses or eyes?
Yes, that was looking out over the ocean. Yes.
Okay, so then here is.
I just added color. To try to get a more of a clarity of what I was looking at, and that's what the blue shade of color to that same photo brought up. That's that Christed. Looked to me like a very somebody in pain.
I see. I see it as like I've seen a number of things like this, both in dimension of my physical eyes. To me, they always felt like an ascended. Where did you go? Ascended master type of energy, and that's. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just.
Yeah.
Where did you go? Okay. Yeah. I mean, but it looks like ancient, like almost scary. Almost scary, but it's not.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Very much so. What you just said before about how to get to Australia and we're not sure what's coming. And Bruce, who had said it's just beginning or something along those lines. Our bodies now, what's happening? This is where our glory and our luminous, we're going from Homo sapien definitely to Homo luminous. evolving into a very different type of being because of the journey of wanting to take ownership of not being a victim in any way, shape or form. And so I had an experience where I met a brother at a ayahuasca ceremony in Peru, and he came to Australia, and he's an African, tall African man, very powerful, and wanted to give me an experience of his modality. He drove all over Gympie for a few hours, raiding everybody's gardens, collecting flowers, and came back with a big basket full of very hand-picked by their vibrational frequency flowers. And that night he did his own ceremony, put them in a bucket of water with some certain essential oils, and then imbued the flowers and the water with his, whatever he was guided to in that moment, his frequency, his intention, his blessing. And then I was to sit down and put my feet into the basin and then just sit quietly. Within seconds, I could feel this energy, obviously Mother Earth, coming up out of the bowl, up my legs, all up through my body. And then I became very hot. And within I was then catapulting. I saw myself catapulting across the galaxies with a big flame of fire behind me, and the speed at which I was traveling, I was actually felt like I was pulling G's. My face was tight, the whole experience. I was going through the galaxy, and yet at the same time, I know I had gone nowhere. I was within my beingness. Right at that moment, when I could feel the afterburn and the flame coming out from my experience, I disappeared from the room, Todd. I was not there to the physical eyes. There are other couple of people that were there. And not the sort of people that would freak out. They just sat there holding space. And it was in that moment when obviously dimensionally there was a vibrational shift in whatever I was experiencing. The disappearance happened. And then as the experience had achieved what it was meant to achieve, what I had experienced and what they had, as I came back into the room, what appeared first were mantis arms, and then the rest of my being, and then I, as I am looking now, came into the room. So what that has blessed us all with is knowing how to get to Australia or whatever we're going to do. Our bodies cellularly, DNA repairing, is taking us in vibrational frequency to the point where we can just dissolve in one moment, appear wherever we want, maybe still be there, maybe be in all places at all times and have different experiences wherever we all are. It's just going to happen, sweetheart. And
I agree.
And you
I
will
agree.
be, yes.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And we had a couple of experiences, and I've had other experiences, as we all have. But no, I totally agree. And so I'm in this place because it's built up. You know, I say this because I feel
Yes.
like it's all the same for all of us. I think about, for instance, your explanation of what people could see or view being if they were from that native land and culture, and say this is an exorcism. You know, I was just sitting here and you mentioned it, and it reminded me of it. It's ayahuasca ceremony. You know, you take
Yes.
ayahuasca, people think it's all fluffy, love, and light, but the first thing that happens, Mother Ayahuasca comes in and all your shit comes up, you know,
Yeah.
and those things that you're talking about. But anyway, what I was getting at is like, you know, there is, we use these words, surrender, let go, but what are we letting go of? I love the example, because I fully believe you can't divorce yourself from any aspect of the universe. And that's been one of our big challenges. But certainly, as you referred to these children that you birth that live within your body and sometimes come out and show themselves to yourself and other people. So I really resonate with that. And so I'm going, well, if I'm going to get rid of victim programming or anything from the inverted 3D matrix, then what is keeping me? I actually had this thought this morning. Morgan's probably going to freak out, but to get a pair of scissors and bring out my birth certificate and my Social Security card and everything else and just go snip, snip, snip. Yeah. Because at an energetic level, we've already been doing this. Yes. This isn't about declaring our sovereignty from some bullshit institution like the monarchy or the US or whatever. It's not about that. It's about the soul. So I feel like what you're saying is occurring, be it us teleporting or us actually disengaging in a natural way from these, these pillars, of this false matrix, if you want to put it in those terms. So, again, this multidimensionality thing, which everyone has had their own experience, has gone into like overdrive because it's including all inclusive of all the multidimensionality of the human standalone, right? The physical body, the mental, the emotional, the etheric. Like there's a whole bunch of multiverse within us that doesn't even include the woo-woo. And it's woo-woo too, right? So it's just
sorry, sweetheart.
No, it's good. There's a lot.
With the understanding of that singularity, really knowing that knowing you are everywhere. And whether I think everything that we've ever thought or believed literally has to go out the window. And the reason we have to forget it is because the truth will blow all of the circuitry to start with. But to fully sit with that for a minute, that up until now we've called it embodying, where we might go somewhere and meet someone or something and we're embodying and bringing that into our beingness. That's probably definitely the case on one level, but at the same time, I think it still stays there. So you are here with Morgan, and then so it's not so much about disengaging; it's about just tapping into that aspect of you that is there, and whatever that frequency is. I think it's a matter of being able to be in not just two places, but many places at once. And our physical vessel up until now was not able to handle that type of frequency and that type of quantum experience. And this again is our reward, because of our longings and our desires, particularly what you and Morgan would be feeling right now, and what you're already both showing the world in divine union and Hieros Gamos. That in itself, you are doing that already. Now just to do it, have it in the physical, or bring that aspect of you to, materialize the physical.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Well, and you make a good point, because whatever a person's distortion is, or whatever part of the distortion that tends to take a person's focus away. And of course, we all were living distortion until this whole thing starts happening, right? But it doesn't even matter, because they're all the same thing. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm a huge believer in and I would say even a practitioner in feeding the magic and feeding the alchemy, right?
Yes.
I told Morgan last night, I'm living in the fantasy. I'm not living over here anymore. And so I feel a very radical change, well, let's just say an opportunity for a radical change. And someone might look at that and go, well, what the hell do you think we've been doing for 10 years? But this is my point. and this is the reason I feel like it's so close, because it's almost like we flipped a switch, or something clicked, and we can sense it. And as we can move away from trying to measure and grab and hold and control and cognitively explain it and all that stuff, and because it's actually how it works is what you're talking about. It's kind of like just being it, melding into it, and it's an unknown quantity from the perception that we have. But I love this part of the story because I am not who I was yesterday, and that is such a powerful kind of knowing that like everything else that we seem to be coming across, but it's not taking as long. It takes a little while to really soak it in, right? I mean, you get an activation and it takes a little while to figure out what the hell just happened. So, but there is a convergence of initiation to reality, I guess is how I'd put it.
Yeah.
Do you have time, or do you have just an hour?
I have time, sweetheart.
Let's I'm drinking the hell out of this juice, organic juice. Todd's gone teetotaler, but I have got to go, as you say in Australia, I got to go take a wee. So
okay.
If you want to introduce if you want to, Morgan had mentioned to me that you would like, obviously we've talked about on the shows, the Gympie Pyramid, the oral history handed down from the Pleiadians to the grandmother circles, or the matriarchal tribe leadership, and the whole story behind that. There's been some amazing things that you've been a part of over there. I'm very aware of, because of my closeness and my oneness with Morgan, as to what the heck's going on. I mean, at least in terms of energy, you want to bring some women together, and just correct me if I'm wrong, but you want to bring some women together at the Gympie Pyramid. What's the purpose? What are you thinking? What do you know? And what can you share? And I'll catch up on the first part of your explanation on the replay.
Right.
I'll be back in a second. I'll be back. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Actually, I have some, not controversial, but this is not actually a pyramid here in Gympie. It's a portal. To sit with the elders that are there, I had in my mind, because of my connection to the Australian Indigenous and the history of humanity to start with, which brought into the Pleiades star system and the Sirian and the Andromedan and the Arcturians. It was wonderful to hear these people talking about the Pleiades. And so the Dreamtime story is one of the 7 sisters. The 7 stars of the Pleiades were our foundational creators. This is one perspective. And this is the perspective they were coming from. And so from the Pleiades star system came these beings, and they landed in Gympie, on this area. Now, no doubt they landed everywhere, but we know that there are some convergence points of energy throughout the whole planet. And one of those convergence points is where this Gympie site is. And so the story goes, the Dreamtime story goes, that they had with them crystals, and Cryon talks a lot about the crystal caves, where each crystal had a representation of each soul that was on the planet, and crystals being so powerful for storing sacred geometry and all of our Akash in the crystals. These particular crystals were more like a power grid, like I think the organic version of the Hadron particle collider, and that capability of pulsing out vibrational energy. And so apparently under that site were caves where these crystals were placed. And so they fire up, and they were part of the grid and the ley lines and the energetic systems of the planet. Now, where I deviate from, and so therefore, when you walk over the area, and Morgan had some really good photos that she posted about that, where you could really feel there were areas where there was a sacred healing rock that was pretty much above where these crystals in the caves were. They've mapped out on the top the men's area and then the women's area, again, separation. Definitely when you walk over that land, you feel something, but I beg to ask the question, what are you feeling? We all went there with a knowing that, oh, there's something amazing here, and potentially there's crystals under the earth. Are we feeling the creation of what our own thoughts are pulsing through our bodies? Or are we actually feeling something that's there? You know, what came first, the chicken or the egg? The thing that became very clear to me, I was longing to sit with a true Aboriginal elder, a man with black skin and no clothes sitting on the bare earth, a man that saw the Pleiades star system and is connected with the rainbow serpent snake, and dipped his hand into ochre paint that he had made from rubbing rocks together, and put on the walls of the caves a representation of what he saw and what he had experienced. And so that every experience that I've had, as woo-woo as it was, this man would understand and know and resonate with what I was talking about. That is not the case where we are talking about. We were greeted by, and bless them, I'm on their Facebook page, and they are having an experience of their own, but there is a road about to go right through that site, a major highway, or very close to it. And so these Aboriginal or originals do not have black skin. They are from the Kabi tribe. There is a Waka Waka tribe not far from here, and another tribe over there. Again, separation. They're coming from their perspective and their connectedness to their land. I don't feel it's their land. I feel it's our land. It's all of us together, unified.
Yeah.
When I started to ask questions or to ask, I would like to go and walk on the site on my own, that was not allowed unless one of us is with you. A lot of new age people come here with their crystals. And so in my mind, the reason people are coming and the women gathering together here in Gympie, the very fact that we walked on that land with a heart and intent of connecting to whatever it is that we were feeling, we embodied whatever was there. We have become the crystalline grid. We are it.
That's right.
Originally, I thought how wonderful. I said to Morgan, wouldn't it be wonderful for us all to gather together with the originals in a circle together, unifying and allowing the story of what's going on there to bring us together. But I knew after going up there on my own that was not going to happen. And it doesn't need to happen. They can, and this does upset a lot of people. But as far as I'm concerned, the old is dissolving. The old of the way things used to be is no longer. We are it. And so they can pummel a road right through that site. It makes no difference. The land in certain areas, whether it's sacred or not, all of that area, we've embodied that. The people of a singularity or a heart-based mind, a heart-based body, wherever we go, whoever we see, we are impacting as a crystal in a cave grid may have been impacting. Yeah. So the gathering together of women doesn't have to be on a site, but certainly many of us are being called to be in Gympie at this moment. So for us to gather together wherever that may be or wherever it comes up will be a very profound experience if the women understand this to the degree that I'm talking about.
Well, that openness is so necessary, and oneness is oneness, and there's no exceptions. And this is a never ending journey, whether we're here or in our next incarnation. So I can totally relate to what you're saying. And I think you should be commended for what you're saying because, you know, spiritually or I guess say DNA wise or energetically, I just know I have a huge amount of the experiential has been indigenous, has been Native American. It's just I just know it's my own truth.
Yeah,
Yet I
yeah,
go to conferences and I hear my brothers that are incarnated in this incarnation that are full blown from the reservation, all respect and honor. But they speak from the old. They
yes,
speak as us and them. And even
yes,
when I went to Sedona and went to conferences and covered conferences where there was a wider scale of representation, let's just say, it was the same old shit. So I made a point to go, if we ever do this, it's going to be new. And that's what we were blessed to have been a part of. Now, the thing is, even to me, it goes as far back as it can go. So even if we go to the story of the Pleiadians, and again, all honor, respect, love, and reverence,
mm,
but there were galactic wars. There was territorial, egoic
yes,
initiatives and parameters placed in the heavens. So I'm a firm believer that as we align ourselves and then take it out to another, and here comes sacred union, because how are you going to
yes,
be one in the physicality, which sounds like, oh, well, this is just I know it's a playground, I know it's a university, I know it's not real, but everything has multiple connotations, especially as time goes on. But as I align myself, as I come into alignment with my partner or my work or this community, whatever it is, I'm healing backwards and forwards. We're doing the yeoman's work here. We're we're
mm,
we're we're killing it, and so
yeah,
what you're
yeah,
saying is true. All the walls have to come down,
yeah,
and then you even take it further. Morgan and Yvonnya organized this silent meditation,
mm,
and we've done three, and I'm observing this both in the physical and in the field, and I'm absolutely amazed at the energetic atmosphere, at the expansion of the field of consciousness that is the field of creation, new creation, by people showing up.
yeah,
Not only do they have the walls down and the heart is aligned with the pure intention, but it is where two or more gather. And wow,
mm,
nothing said,
yeah, yeah,
yet you can feel it. And so to me, when they first brought it up, I said, oh, well, yeah. And of course, I miss a lot of things, because I go, 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 go. And then I went, but I had to set it up on Zoom. But when I saw the energy that individuals were emitting from a soundless video
yes,
from their little
yeah,
screen on the Zoom,
yeah,
I'm just going, holy shiitake mushrooms. Like it's those moments like that
yeah,
that we're experiencing more and more and more through the initiative and the bravery, because it is going against not just the status quo of the world, but of the old coding that got us here that still needs to be brought into further alignment, as all things do. But it's those moments and you go, Jesus, I don't know anything. Like everything I knew
yeah,
just went
yeah,
out the window. Like I'm supposed to get
yeah,
on a show and talk on a microphone. Like I can't compete with that. But I think these are glimpses of our ever expanding reality here, and it's so freaking cool because we're in the physical. Wow.
yeah,
I mean, that's just a big wow. And that's why I always say in my conversations, hey, I'm going to say what I got to say because I'm the boots on the ground. You're the boots on the ground. And nothing to take anything away from y'all. But, this is sovereignty to me. And sovereignty is in all timelines, all dimensions. And I don't think we can underestimate the power of the human experience, because it is healing the Anunnaki Pleiadian rift, and all the others there,
Yeah.
or at a minimum, has the potential to. So
Yeah. And it has to, because it's us.
yeah,
The
exactly.
Anunnaki, it has to. You know what I'm feeling? What you just said, this on the outer experience that we're looking at with COVID and people making a choice to take it or not to take it. When it all started, it was very interesting. I dived very deeply down the rabbit hole and really wanted to see what was going on, but trying to look at it from a different, from a perspective of what's really going on here. And then it took a turn where people started to turn against each other. And at the same time, we were all feeling this, even I think before it had hit, that something had happened in 2019. It was like it was a cut-off point. It was a cut-off point, I think, even in our journey too. You either got it, you're done, or you're not done, and you're going to go round and round the bandwagon again. But there was a definite feeling of it is done, it is finished. And then when I saw things happening with the COVID people and people turning against each other, and even now they're still saying, well, it's a choice. You either choose to have it or you don't. I don't believe that's what the choice is. Watching, overlaying our journey on top of the narrative that's playing out. The choice isn't, oh, if I take that, my body will be affected. We've got the power within us, that the scalar wave. We are literally creating scalar wave technology. We are scalar wave technology. Nothing's going to, in our heart space, in that intercession, in that place where alchemy is created. The choice isn't to take it or not. The choice is, are you going to end separation and duality or not? Because I saw the light work has been the biggest pains in the ass the whole time that thing was going on.
It's still
These
going
loving
on.
light people, right? Yeah. And the way they were still adhering to all of their belief systems that got them where they were going. Which all had the element of these people out at the Gimpies sitting there still judging one tribe from another tribe.
Yeah.
Nothing had changed. Nothing.
Bury the fucking hatchet, man. I mean, it's like, and I love what you're saying. You know what? It's a lot like the smoking example you gave at the first of the show. I did a solo the other day, and it was just freestyle, just sit down and just let it go. So I was saying, look, I'm done with the death program. I'm done with fear. And oh, by the way, it's about what I want to create. And I said example, and this whole thing with the jab, And I said, look, if somebody comes to me tomorrow and says you can be in Australia tomorrow if you take this medical procedure, and I said, I don't know what my answer will be, but if my answer is no, I will be aligned in my heart. And if my answer is yes, I will be aligned in my heart. I won't know till that happens.
Yep.
So it may not even happen. I may be invisible. Who knows how it works? But it's a lot like what you're saying. And so it's getting drilled down, and integrity, like everything else, is taking on a new meaning. And to thine own self be true is taking on a new meaning. I think the way that you explain this takes a lot of the complications out, and it becomes a questionless type of experience, because all of this other stuff, I put up another one, I think yesterday, and I said, it's not about, a virus, or it's about a procedure. It's about a choice and division, right? It's not we're missing the forest for the two trees we're singling out, or whatever, you know what I mean? So you make it real simple, because it only becomes about you. And what are your
I have,
intentions? You know, what are your intentions?
yeah, yes. And the fear, I've just got to turn that fan off. Again, it's the fear that people are creating in that. You know, one other perspective, Uluru, this will bring it full circle. In 2019, before the COVID thing, Uluru was always going to have a very big part to play with it. And I know everything is not just one thing.
That's right.
So this perspective I know many share because there are a lot of people involved in it. Many of us got a calling to get to the rock into late 2019 because there was a real vibe going out about the solstice that year, something about the 21st of December 2019. Now, people like JCK, a number of psychic type people, remote viewers, have seen underneath Uluru in their mind was a massive big white ball, a pearl, and the pulse that goes out from Uluru, profound. Everybody that goes there has experiences. I was taken down under Uluru to and an ant being, very tall, looked like an ant, showed me the ley lines, literally the tunnel systems that go out from there. So Uluru was building and building and building up, and then the Hopi prophecies talking about a time that we felt that we were in right at that time. Everything was synchronizing. 3 events happened in the lead up in the late of 2019 towards when COVID was announced to the world. The first thing that happened, the sacredness of that area needed to be reinstated, and I think it was October. I put a post about it actually a few days ago. October 2019, after all of these years, there was no more climbing allowed on Uluru. You could no longer climb the rock.
I heard about that, yeah.
Yeah. People used to they'd take hours to go up there. Everybody was urinating, and down the rock was starting to erode. The well, I mean, in Singularity, to say it's disrespectful, really, you're weeing on a rock. If you're doing that with delight.
You're weeing on yourself, right?
Exactly. So anyway, that happened in October. November, the biggest lightning strike and the biggest storm to ever hit that whole area now washed the rock, cleansed her. And then 2021, the solstice, it's the tilt of the planet at that time, the alignment of the stars, whatever. Many of us were gathered around the world. I was here on the Sunshine Coast doing my little ceremonial thing. Someone else in Bali, Lake Titicaca, Gladstonebury. It was like we were all gathered together knowing that Uluru was about to send out something, the most powerful pulse that she had ever given, knowing humanity, that time was up and humanity needed a big kick up the arse to get it going where the time was at. Or change, chaos created, change to be created. It was the most powerful experience, sweetheart, to be involved in that, and it was palpable. Everybody could feel it. And so literally 2 weeks later after that event, China announced this thing called COVID-19 in Wuhan. So did Uluru's spike of energy around the planet like a hadron particle collider, pulsing a vibration so high, traveling up the feet and into everybody's bodies, allowing them to now have all of the densities, all of their programming, all of their belief systems challenged, manifest in the form of a virus? Was it just also another aspect of something that was created in a lab? Whatever. But it is to look upon it as Uluru contributing to activating and actualizing an event that needed to take place certainly did take place. and unified, and a whole lot of people into oneness.
Yeah. I mean, and to me, I mean, or is it marking or symbolizing, like
Yep.
what's the
Yep.
difference between that and the procession of, what do they call it? The procession of the equinox, or the 26,000 year cycle, or the present astrological pattern that's there right now. And how does that influence it? See, I look at these things and I know that I am God. And I know this in my own truth. And I say that's an overlay. That's
Yes.
a signpost. Uluru pulsing, I fully believe in my own right that everything came through, and this is my own journey, and it could be a 50,000 different passageways onto the earth realm, but that's where I came through. And I know that. I know that's both the womb and the heart, and I absolutely know. But I also know I'm sitting here in Arkansas, and I've had many memories from the past of lives, many, many different lives, all around this Gulf Coast, which, by the way, is one of two, as Morgan told me, one of two places where the vast majority of science fiction type, paranormal type of authors abound. So the thing is, I'm sitting here and there's a part of me innate that knows that there is, and of course people do know that there's a huge crystal bed here, okay, like the biggest in the continent. And I just know that, first of all, the entire planet, every single, back here, right there with the mama tree, everywhere is a portal. Everywhere is sacred. I'm the portal. You're the portal, right? And so these things that have been put in place through what we might call linear time, they are special coordinates. There are vortexes and stargates, and they're right here on the earth. They're not out there. They are too, probably.
Yes.
But my point is, yes, you're right. You're right, and you're right about the over possessiveness, because the over possessiveness of whoever it is, okay, is out of alignment, and the over attachment to stories will pull us out of alignment.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so I love this openness, and the intention of the openness, not as a story about what Chris wants to do in Gympie, though it's important because that's her portal, or that's their portal. Both the incarnations that you've had and the ones that are here and the ones that will come, right? So I mean, it's the energy of what you're intending, and it looks like this to you and it looks like this to me, but it's that openness, that same thing in that silent gathering. It's just, you're just there. And what happens in dream state, right? All of a sudden you look up and you go, I'm just here.
Yeah.
and then eventually the mind starts to go, well, why am I here? And what's the point? But you're just here.
Yes.
In the jungle, and a big python comes down and starts talking to you, or whatever the case
Yes.
is. This is what I get from you. I get this. I've done this. I've seen this. I'm going to keep on keeping on. But at the end of the day, I may not be there, but I'm getting there. And what is there? I'm just here. It's like, it's weird. It's weird.
We are the walking zombies.
Right?
We are the walking zombies, like just that zombie state, and yet not zombie, totally knowing and yet not.
I know. It's crazy.
Oh.
It's crazy. And it's so, you said palpable earlier. Like these last 3 mornings, I'm waking up and I'm having such a lucid conversation with what I would have to call the you, me, we, and it, the universe. I don't know what it is. I guess it's me. I don't know, but you're there. You know what I mean? So, I mean, and it's just like, it's like there's that faint intuitive cadence to the communion that we've all had. And I feel it in myself and I see it in others. It's getting a little bit louder and a little bit louder. And as a result of that, all of that dross, all of that attachment, all of the distortion and the attachments and the threads that we have that connect us, they're just going away. Right?
But
I mean, it's like nobody gets out. Nobody gets through it without going through it, I guess, you know?
The interesting thing about that is what I love about words and the not deception, but the programming of words. Like, to me, dreaming is when we're in reality. Mm-hmm. That what you just spoke about the last 2 days, you were in reality. That's really what's going on, that multidimensional reality. When we wake up, this is the dream. Mm-hmm. This is the dream spell, all based on words and their meanings that create labels and separation, and to put us off the scent of what is the magic and the mystery. That dream state. That's a
good point. That's a good point.
Yes.
I've been telling myself for 2-3 months, I'll come into this room and I'll say, I'm in dimension, almost like a mantra. I'm in dimension. And what you're saying is what I was feeling, but you're right. Especially this morning, I'm literally sitting there on the edge of the bed.
Yeah.
And I'm just there, number one. And it is, that was my thought, actually, what you said. I thought, am I taking dream state into the what we call awake state, right? I mean, I'm having these, and you know, I can't really explain it, but what you're saying is exactly what I was saying to myself.
And so if we start to milk it for all it's worth, so when you're going through that experience, don't get up so quickly. Stay there, really get into the feeling, and then try to extend it and live and stay in that whilst you're then in the other one. I mean, it will look like to everybody else. You know, I love that guy that had tough. What's Osho, who had that woman that said tough titties. Remember her? So Osho, with the long grey hair, with the eyes that looked like he was always constantly stoned. Mm-hmm. That's because he had stretched out the dream state, knew that there was a reality, and walked around. So we'll take it another step further, where we don't want everyone to freak out that we're holding that space. We will understand to merge the two, but we've got to stop calling it waking state, because it's not.
I know it's so funny what you're saying, because it's so funny. Like you were, and this is happening too. The sequential aspect of how everything unfolds, and the synchronicity. So like everything has meaning, even though they look like they're unrelated. So you're sitting there telling me this. So I sat down and on the edge, and I said my normal thing, which is basically, you know, in a nutshell, like, what's my triad? You know, it's just be open. It's me, Morgan, Soulogy. Everything's a copy. So this is my physical experience, impressing upon physical matter, projecting new creation through what's already and always will be. Father, Son, Holy Ghost. You know what I get? You get it. So I'm sitting there and I'm having that conversation. I'm going, why do I feel like I'm still in dream state? And I put my prayer out, and I said, listen, and we've all had this conversation. I said, look, I am not asking, I'm declaring that I will have a more seamless transition or more symmetry or some, you know what I mean? Like, I want to carry, like what you said. And I said that. I sat there for a minute, and all of a sudden I heard just like that. Swear to God, I'm in my bedroom, and nobody ever comes to this place, right? Nobody. There's a duplex, so there's some people next door, but it's late in the afternoon. So I get up, not even thinking about what just happened. I thought, oh, somebody's at the door. So I walk to the door. I open the door, nobody's there. I walk out on the porch. I look to see if the lady's home next door. Nobody's there, and nobody's knocking on her door. And then it dawned on me. I thought, oh shit, they just gave me what I asked for.
Yes.
See, so then I did what you said. So then I did what you said, and I went, oh, I guess I'm supposed to go sit back, sit back and just shut the F up and get out of the way and just let it do its work. Right?
Yes.
So,
yes.
So it's so funny that you talk in these terms, because it's what happened. You know, it's funny.
Yeah. That could be something really interesting as you're doing your shows and your interviews. I will say on that, love, over the years, because I've been watching for years, not only the interest in the people that you're sharing with, the delight and the joy and the connectedness is watching your holding space. Because when you hold space, this Todd, it's palpable. Yeah, there's that word again. The energy coming out of you, sweetheart, for those of us that are watching, holding space for another human being. And to me, my greatest joy wherever I walk, if my eyes meet somebody else and that knowing with that person, or watching another human being in divine union with themselves, the grace, the presence, the no need to do, be, say, or be anything. And that is what you are giving us, sweetheart. You are in that space, and it really is beautiful to see. So now when you wake up from your lucid dreaming, bring it don't open the door, knock, and step into the awakened dimension and interview us. Stay in it.
I know. And the crazy thing is, when I think back to the first couple of years, walking the streets, and this was an everyday occurrence, I didn't go anywhere else because there was nowhere else to go. Yeah. But it just was funny to me when you were telling that, because of what, and even what you just said. If you go, this is 3,000 show month, or last month we hit 3,000. I don't know what day it was or what show it was, but if you go back, if you go back to the 300th show or the 1,000th show, and Morgan, and that's why I speak of this a lot, because we are the union, not me and her, all of us. We're all here creating union within ourselves. We're all getting there.
Yes.
But we're actually, the way I see it, I think this is the most incredible trip we've been on, because we're now doing it with our creations. We're doing it with the external. It's like the highest point of integration. And but it's because I was able to experience, and have been able, and am able to experience, the part of me, which really, if you think about it, is the part of the world that's been suppressed, which is that feminine. So, she points things out to me. I listen, I move on, and it's that. And so I'm laughing too, because, I would put it in my street terms, to watch, and I watch it with people, really, as I'm sure they've seen it with me. I've shown my ass many times, but I've also kind of feel like that the energy of Soulogy is the hero's journey, and it is all of us. And so this is why I value this right here. This makes my day. This is my meditation and my session. I'm the client, and it's everything. It's everything in the physical. And it's like somebody has turned on a giant fire hose, and there's not a damn thing any of us can do to stop it. And we're like, what's going to happen here? Well, we don't know. And that's the whole point. I imagine like Mother Goddess, because I feel like if God has a gender, and I know people don't get caught up in semantics, but it has to be a woman. You know what I mean? So she says, I have a thought, and I want to create. Now, what does she do? She creates this divine counterpart And she doesn't make herself greater than. She makes it in her image. And you could put this in a lot of different contexts. And so what do you have at that point? You have an unknown. What is going to happen? You know, will the student pass the teacher? You know what I mean? There's all these elements of chaos, which is the womb of creation, right? That's where that's what we're doing. We're swimming in the void, and we're about to have a soulgasm, or I would say cosmic orgasm. And to me, that is God. That is the goddess.
Yes.
It is
Yes.
that point of conception, that burst of light, and that first projection out.
Yes.
Because it's just like a download. We get a download, we start to go share it, and what happens? It not to anyone's fault, it just gets a little bit tainted, a little bit less, a little more diluted. But in that point of explosion is pureness.
Yes.
It is, and it is the seed of, and I believe that's what we are. You know, as in the goddess is the magician, or the god is the magician, and we are the magic. And,
you know, listening to, and I know what you're saying, but again, God, a goddess, we've used that up until now to explain the journey. But at the end of the day, I've always felt, well, only for me personally, I've always felt androgynous. And that, even though there may be two parts to that, I really feel we're at a time now where we have to not unlearn, but let go of every label or description, whether it's goddess or and just stay with the burst of energy or what it is, because as long as we still give it a label, it's still going to stop you getting to bloody Australia without teleporting.
Well, no, you're right. You're right. You're very
got it. Everything has to go, and I don't mean just lie back and whatever. No, for us to consciously say something not in the way we used to say it will be a challenge, because you'll realize how many labels we're still putting on things.
Absolutely.
And we're stopping the purity of that essence.
Yeah. And again, it's that paradoxical mind F, you know, because we're in a quantum. I observe you, I bring it in, and then I spit it out. And that's what happens, right? So, you know, I watch it with people that have been, I would call them leaders, light bearers, whatever you want to call them, who have had the ovaries to get out there and make it happen and push themselves. You know, people that receive massive downloads, that's a huge challenge to our ego. I'm not saying I'm in that group. I'm going to say their ego. Okay. And that's part of the beauty of the journey. But I'm watching the singular, limited aspect that was such a novel and new pathway that brought people a door opener, become less and less, and you can even see it. Well, I channel so and so, or I am this, or I am that, or I can do this or that. And it's like Morgan told me many times, why would you want to limit yourself?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, if you're everything, you're everything. And you do this to show me what I can do and what I am. So, I mean, like what you're saying is very true. And what you said about the whole, like the new phase, everything's changed. The language is different. The experience is different. It's, you can say linear to quantum. So it happens like this. And then you're like, because in the old way, you'd be like, oh yeah, I'm going to need a couple of weeks. I'm going to go chill at the bit. But no, it's like, boom, here's the next one. Boom, here's the next one. So there's a kind of a getting used to that's different than the getting used to we had even a day ago or 2 days ago. Right?
It's that shift from unity to singularity. It's that shift, because once we are fully embodying singularity, very different to unity.
Explain it.
Unity is where we all rise up out of whatever we were in, start to understand ourselves, and then the savior complex of saving other people or connecting with people of like mind. That has to go. We've done that. And now the next phase is singularity. That is totally knowing there is only one being here. That's right. That is you.
Yeah.
And in your bubble, in your universe. And so everything that you see with your eyes looking at me, I'm just another fractal of you, but knowing there's only one. And so now there's no need to consider other things or waste time of terminologies. It is pure, like in the moment, doesn't even cut it.
It's not even, by the time you say it, you've already missed it, right? Present is present.
Singularity is the mind fuck. This is the mind fuck, this one. Now, I'll tell you what, the best movie to watch, I loved it, Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, Lucy.
In Lucy, right? And so as she's going through all of her powers and her DNA is coming online, she's walking down and then her hand's going out and she's, with her mind, she's creating her reality and it's getting stronger, and the DNA, she's at 50%, 60%, goes and goes and goes, and then bang. And then at the end, Morgan Freeman's there, the computer system, and then the question was asked to nothing, where are you? I am everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah. What a trip.
That trip is singularity.
Yeah.
That's what we're in, and that's why we're all going crazy, because we still think we're in unity.
Yeah.
We're not.
Everything, somebody put up a great post about the connotation of twin flames today, and how she had downloaded it a couple of years ago, and how she got the urge to talk about it, or nudge to talk about it again, or post about it today. And she was just saying it used to be this, but it became something contorted and distorted.
Yeah.
So now and she was really using it as an example of the evolution of the description of different frequencies.
Right. Yes.
And
yes.
So
yes.
But yeah, I mean, and here's the thing too. I totally agree with you on. I say it a little bit different, but it's the same thing, which is, how much more information do we need? You know, I first started to say this, like, how much more information do we need to know about what's going on here, to the point where you've had enough information, you can take the charge off, and there is no us versus them. And if there isn't us versus them coming from me, then I'm the separation. Now, the next phase of that is, how much more do I need to know about myself? You know, like, I'm sure I'm going to run into a shadow and I'm going to have to 0 point this or that. But does that mean I need to sit here paralyzed and not consciously creating a higher me or an expansive me, developing my teleportation, developing my experience and attunement with that which you describe as that neutrality, that singularity? Like, what can I do in this space? Because it's not the space I was in. You know, I like, how much more information do we need? Let's try this. What do we got to lose? You know, Todd's going to cut up all his earth identifications as an energetic symbol of my new reality. Now, that's great. But what are you going to do? Sit in this chair? Well, maybe that's how it works, but I'm not going to find out until I dip my toe in there and jump in the pool and jump in the river and see what happens. You know?
And see, if you're inspired to do that, and you go ahead and do that, you know, everybody's aware of common law now. Everybody's aware that those birth certificates and driver's license are in fact identifying you to a straw man. So that might then take you on to, well, I'm going to study that a little bit more and get my new birth certificate and my new driver's license where you reserve all rights. And so therefore you cannot even be touched by the laws and the authority because you are no longer under admiralty law. You are a free human being, not an entity. So going with what you're feeling, on one side people might think, oh God, well now you're stuck, you're never going to get, or you look at it completely in alignment. If that's what you're feeling, that's taking you to the next level.
It's like being in a dream, you know.
Yeah.
And so, you know, people get offended. I've said a couple of times, I made a post. I am not an American. I am not going to pay taxes. I am not going to, you know, da-da-da.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't choose to be born here.
Yeah.
I chose to come to the earth.
Yes.
I didn't come to, you know, to permanently be debilitated by the construct that we created so that we could have this experience and expansion. There's nothing, you know, I'll tell you another thing, you know, I mean, I bring up Morgan a lot because she's probably, you know, the most intelligent person, and I'm talking infinite intelligence. I'm talking connection, channel, whatever you want to call it. But I remember meeting her now 6 years ago tomorrow. And early on, you know, because we started having these conversations, she's like, you're tapped in. I don't know how you know it because you're a fucking mess, but you're intuitively tapped in. Well, I didn't know the human part. I didn't know that stuff. So one of the things she said to me that helped me out day one was the number one word in ascension, which she actually calls growing up, is reset. So there's nothing wrong with me and all different aspects of our experience to be able to say, you know, all control delete. Let me restart. This is a video game, by the way. We can do this.
Yeah.
We can do this, right?
And the way to reset that is to follow through with whatever we're feeling in any given moment. And if that's cutting up your birth certificate and your driver's license, well, that's what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, these are
without careful consideration. Otherwise, it'll pass very quickly.
Well, that's the whole thing that you said about questioning, which I really got what you were saying, which on the surface wasn't what I was saying to my friend, but it was what I was saying because I was saying there's no more fucking questions, right?
Yes.
We get to this point. What else? What do I need to know about the history of the earth? What do I need to know about, you know, the man behind the green curtain that's projecting everything? Come on, this is just a distraction. So what do you want? Yeah. What do you want? What energy field do you want to be a part of? And it's just like, okay. And I love it too, because one of the reasons I don't comment on shows or post is because it engages me. I like we all do when we share.
Yes.
Like
yes,
you said,
love.
we trigger, I don't even like that word, but we bring things up. So this whole exchange starts to occur, and it's not an open discussion, it's a debate. And it really is, because we're wanting to be right, not in the what we might think, but in terms of what our belief system is. Like, what is our MO right now? Somebody comes along and blesses us with a trigger, and we go, holy shit, there's a boulder in the road. That's not real. Well, we talk ourselves out of it.
Yes.
And the same process will work for us to talk ourselves into it. You know what I mean?
Yes. Like, beautiful, Todd. That's it in a nutshell, Todd. That's it. There's no need to speak of our
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, our perspective of things. It's I think we just takes us out of that.
Yeah, I think what's going to happen is Soul Speaks 5D is going to become, because something's happening, like, but I think it's going to become no schedule.
Yeah.
If it's me or somebody else, whoever sits in this chair, they're just going to flip it on and see who comes in. And then there's 144, by the way, 1 hour and 44 minutes.
Yeah.
So, and then what's going to happen is we're just going to, it's like the silent gathering. We're just going to sit here.
Yes.
and the energies.
And that's how I felt this morning. I didn't, even though I've done, even though I have opened my throat after all, the initial thought was there's nothing to say, just to sit opposite, like Yvonne's and Morgan's meditation.
I know.
And we will all know it when we'll all get it.
Yeah,
and we're all in singularity.
Man, I am lit on this show. And I think it's you, it's everybody, obviously, it's everybody. I understand that vortex because I've been doing this so long. But man, I'm telling you, and it's been slowly coming. My teeth are like, I can't explain what this is. It's something between a vibration and electricity. My fingertips, my toes, you know what I mean? It's like you can feel this. And I see other people talking about this. There is something absolutely amazing, accelerating in what we once referred to as a strictly physical body, right? This isn't physical anymore. You know what I mean? You're not physical anymore. Not that it doesn't contain that, but there's some kind of alchemization, transformation that's occurring with these bodies that's cutting all the bullshit out.
Yes,
it really is. As much as we want to talk, it's cutting it all out, and it's almost like we're like what you said. We come out and we're standing in this space, and it's like a dream. So
Todd, while you're feeling that love, while you're feeling that, only if you want to, just close your eyes and feel that for a minute. That tingling, wherever that bodily sensation is. Really, really go into it for a minute, love, while we're all here in our singularity, watching you, our brother. Really, really go into it.
Yeah.
Right? Stay with it. Nakana mohoye om Namoye namahoye nakatahaye I love you, Todd.
I love you. I thought that it was supposed to make it go away. It made it worse. I'm just messing with you. Yeah, I'm just. I appreciate that. That's a beautiful blessing.
Love you dearly, darling.
I love you too.
And all you're doing.
Thank you. I will be seeing you. I will be seeing you sooner than you think.
I'll see you in my dreams.
I will see. I know. I've known, and it just is what it is, right? It's amazing. I still think that by the last day of this year, some people have said it, but even now, what is it? 4 months? Is it 4 months? 4 months to go. I still feel like it's going to be. We will be able to sit here today and mark this day and go back. Hey, 4 months ago, there's no way we could have ever believed that it would be like this. Right?
What we'll experience is really what we came here for. Like Bruce said, now it will all begin, and we'll all be saying, "Thank God we went through what we went through."
Yeah, that's what I said on that solo the other day. I said we've actually arrived to our destination, but it's not like we thought. It's the liftoff. We've arrived to the point where we can now lift off, and that really
Yep.
That really
And
resonates.
we don't need Elon Musk, and we don't need transhumanism, and we don't need all of those other technologies to do what we're going to be doing organically.
Well, we only needed them to wake us up to the fact that we can. But I'm with you,
Yeah.
and I fully embrace and see myself in Joe Biden and Elon Musk and any other person out there. But it's true though. But yeah,
We are the technology that they were talking about. It's us.
I also think of that that phrase, and I know I mispronounced it. It's the Beatitudes or the Beatitudes. It's in the Bible.
Yeah.
Very famous Sermon on the Mount, and he says,
Yes.
the meek shall inherit the earth."
Yes.
And the etymology of the word meek, written in the when it's done to the word written in the language at the time, is not what we think, but it does have a certain element of this subtle force that everything flips. What you thought was in power is no power at
Yes.
all. And what
Yes.
has, which I think had to have the goddess energy get back to level up in all of us, therefore the
Yes.
collective, because it is that presence that contains all, that part of us that nurtures and patient. I mean, you can use so many different words, right? But
And
far out.
that meekness is really it's a state of being empty.
Yeah.
Just empty. Whereas the world says, meek are the, wishy-washy, balls up, man's up. No,
that's dead. I'm watching my brothers going through some pain, and thank you. Why?
Yeah.
Thank me. I mean, I know we all have work to do. We always do, but my God, there's some serious. But to your
Now,
point
Todd,
earlier,
I'm going to give you some homework.
What is that?
Now that you just said it again, I know we've got work to do yet. Another time when you were talking about coming into something else, you were saying, I know I've got a lot to go. Really be aware of what you're saying about you, darling.
I know.
What you give to us is profound.
I know. It's
just
that
in your heart.
It's that old program of humility, because
it pulls you down.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. But your words, listen, your words are.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Thank you very much. Okay. I love you.
Thank you. Yes.
Hasta luego. I'm coming back on tonight. So it's 9:00 Eastern. What time is it over there? Noon? You're noon. Yeah, you're noon. So Australia's noon. And yeah, we have time. I'm going to come back on within a couple hours and just see what happens, and maybe talk Morgan Lee into it. We'll see what happens.
Oh, fantastic. Okay,
Yes,
darling. Thank you so much, Todd.
We'll do
it was an
sometime.
honor.
My honor. The honor's all mine. All mine. I loved it. Loved it.
Great.
Peace out, everybody.
Peace
we'll
out.
See y'all later.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris Pooley, and we'll do this again if you're up for it.
Yep.
And I'll see you at the Gimpy Pyramid before,
yes.
before too long.
Good.